let me tell you a little bit about how my journey started so that you can understand why I'm standing here right now. And just like I said, that everybody who's ever taken this class was always asked by someone. And one day in 1988, I was working for a company called the Red Onion Corporation in Southern California. My job was a beverage director. My job really was to travel to 18 Red Onion restaurants and drink margaritas to make sure that they were all made the same and top quality. So that was really my job. And one day my boss asked me to come to a course. I have not taken courses up till that point. I'm in my late 20s. I live in Huntington Beach. I'm single. I'm dating all the time. I've got more money in my pocket than I've ever had. I did not have all these wrinkles going on. Life was good. And so he asked me to take this course, and I thought it was going to be on wines or, how they make wine, how they make tequila and all this, because I had taken a lot of those. And I remember Ron Newman looking at me and saying, no, it's not any of that. It's a class where you just get to work with you. And I remember listening to that going, that makes no sense at all. And I said, well, tell me about it. He said, no, just trust me. And have you ever had anybody ask you lately, trust me? It's kind of a weird thing when someone says that, because you kind of have to look in your mind and go, do what? And you know how your mind works really fast. Well, I'm thinking about it real quick, and I have no reason not to trust the man. I love the man. He's a great employer. I've seen how he is with his family. I've seen how he is in business. Obviously, I've been to his house many times. I've catered and was the beverage director of parties at his house. He's got a very large house in Hermosa Beach on the Strand. And there's nothing. And I said yes. And I was in the class that next weekend. And of course, I've never taken a course like this. I didn't know that they existed in the late 80s. I did my schooling in Tulsa, Oklahoma, the Midwest, and then went to the University of Oklahoma for my college, and then came out to Southern California to live with a friend of mine. And so never have done it. I've made fun of this work before. People read books about, the sky's the limit and all this. And we used to make fun of it. We're very sarcastic about this in the Midwest. Well, then I'm in California and I'm taking this class now, and I'm like, this is what we used to make fun of. And so I went through it. Back then it was a Thursday night, Friday night, all day Saturday, all day Sunday. And obviously over the years we've just put Thursday and Friday together. And so when I say, the third day, we still had one more. It was Saturday night of my very first class. I make the decision to change careers. And I did not come to the class to change careers at all. I was happy in my career, doing well. Like I said, life was good. And I made a decision in 3 days to change careers. And now how do you go back to the man who asked you to take the class and say, I love this class. This is one of the greatest gifts I've ever received. I love this work. Even though I was nervous at first looking at myself, I love learning about myself. I've never done that before. In all the Catholic schools, in all the university, I never learned about me. I learned about theories. I learned about a lot in college, but never about why my relationships never worked the way I wanted them to. Why, even though I was making more money than I've ever made before, I didn't have any. Anybody relate to that? Why I was sick, and sick 4 times a year, pretty much at the same time of the year, struggling with health. So when those answers happened, I was like, this is the best. Where has this been all my life? And so now how do you tell that to the man who asked you to take it that you resigned? And I thought, well, let me just do what I learned in the class. Went up to him and said, Ron, this is the greatest thing I've ever received. It's an incredible addition to all of my education, and I've made a big decision in the course, and that is to resign. And he looked at me, and a big smile came on his face and said, good for you. He goes, that's one of the reasons I asked you to go. Could that not be taken, And then he told me about it. He said, you're in the camera shop, and he loved the restaurant business. And that's when his buddy, who owned Bobby McGee's restaurant, Bobby Sikora, asked him to take the class. So Ron takes the class, owning a camera shop in Newport Beach, and then comes out and does the classes and shuts down the camera shop and opens the very first Red Onion. And he said, that's where I was. And I have a feeling that's where you were. You've been in this restaurant business since you're 14 years old. And I just want to make sure that it's really what you wanted to do. And if it was what was maybe the catapult to have you go do something else, then I got to say, I got to be a part of that. And he was. And I'm very, very thankful for it because I know I'd still be in the restaurant